Now, Haki Africa, Nubian Rights Forum, Kibra Social Justice Center and Kibra Young Women Alliance released a preliminary report of yesterday's by-election a few moments ago. The report is an assessment of IEBC's preparedness and conduct of the mini-poll. And now let's cross over to our reporter, Lofty Matambo, who has been there since yesterday. Good afternoon, Lofty. It's great to see you. What do they say in this report?
Thank you, Grace. Basically, the curtains have come down on this 3-month-long campaign that was characterized by a myriad of issues, myriad of different fronts of campaigns, speaking of BBI, speaking of handshake candidate, speaking of bedroom politics and all that. But finally, we've heard, and it has been actually who is Imran Okoth, who is supposed to bear probably a few steps further and ahead in terms of the next 2 years. And we witnessed a number of fracas here and there. Remember, we saw one member of parliament from Kimilili, Didmas Baraza, who was a little bit roughed up by people who are perceived to be goons right at the center of Kibera, that is Mashimoni area. And these are some of the incidents that have made some of the civil groups here, civil society groups, to come together, Haki Africa, the Nubian Rights Forum, amongst others, to give their preliminary report, basically poking a number of holes on how the IEBC conducted this election, as well as police, the police officers, how they handled the fracas that were reported yesterday. So with me here is Khalid Hussein, who is the CEO of Haki Africa. He's here with me probably to share with us that preliminary report. Yes. Basically, which are the major issues that you observed, you witnessed, and you are ready to report to Kenyans, and before you send your report to IEBC later in the day?
Thank you very much, Lofty. Just to confirm that, yes, we are a network of about 5 organizations that were conducting this observation, led by Haki Africa, Nubian Rights Forum, Kibra Social Justice Center, CREW, and of course, Young Women Alliance. And one of our first key finding is the low voter turnout. 35.38%, we're saying by any standards, is very low. On trying to investigate why this was so, we actually came down to 3 conclusions. One is the fear of insecurity. People are afraid that probably they'll be involved in some form of chaos or violence of one kind or another. The second was that being a Thursday, and you know, majority of these people are actually surviving on, hand jobs here and there and things like that. So they actually were not in a position to set aside some time to actually come and vote. And the third reason, majority of them were saying that the outcome is already a foregone conclusion. So they didn't see the need to vote. Number 2, IEBC preparedness. We felt that there were some gaps in their preparations. For instance, we had KIMS kits that were not working. We had voter registers where we couldn't identify voters. But then also, more importantly, we felt that there were electoral clerks who were not well informed about their duties. So this is something that raised a lot of concern. Another key finding of the group was of the police. We were very concerned that even though there was heavy police presence, in most cases this presence was just to show off. We did not in any way see the police taking action where insecurity was actually witnessed. You gave the example of Didmas Barasa of Kimilili. He was actually assaulted in full glare of the police, who actually did not do anything. Now we know Kibra has a history where police have been accused of using high-handed approaches in dealing with voters. We don't know if that might have contributed to their laxity, but one thing is sure, is that the police could definitely have done better to address some of the issues of insecurity that were witnessed in various parts of the county. So in assessing the police's performance, we actually pegged that at 50%. Community, because of their lack of turning out, we pegged that at 40%. And IEBC's preparedness and the management of the entire election at 60%.
Speaking of 35.8 voter turnout, the fear of insecurity, Kiberians, as they are well known, not coming out to vote for who they wanted probably to be the MP. Do you think this has represented the will of Kibera people?
Yes, we must communicate that we noted very clear electoral malpractices, including voter bribery, voter intimidation, and of course the violence that was witnessed. But we feel, despite these incidences, the results that were announced by the IEBC returning officer, Madam Muli, largely, I want to say largely, reflected the will of the people of Kibera.
We've seen businesses are back as usual, and we interviewed a number of residents here, and some of them were saying if it were not for Imran clinching this seat, things will have been different. What do you make of such statements?
Indeed, Lofty, these are issues that came up during the electioneering period, but then also yesterday, there were concerns that should the results go any other way. But this is because majority of the people felt that the candidate they wanted was clear. And they felt that, if any result came out, then it would not reflect their wishes. This is something that as a people, as a community, and as a country, we need to investigate, because we cannot always foretell what might happen. And if we don't get things our way, it should not be a reason for us to cause chaos and harm others. So we condemn such statements. Unfortunately, some of these statements came from senior politicians in this country. It is, equal to electoral intimidation. And we hope, as observers, we will share all these evidence with the authorities so that they can take action. As observers, our main responsibility is to collect information and share it with IBC. We have evidence, we have pictures, we have audios, we have videos that we will be presenting to IEBC, and we expect the IEBC to take stern action against those who have violated the rules and regulations.
Finally, the way Kibera voters conducted themselves yesterday and how they've been celebrating up to this particular moment, do you think is a contribution, or you can attribute it to how the campaigns were conducted? If anything is to be changed as far as campaigns are concerned in Kenya, what will you suggest?
I think when it comes to campaigns, the first thing that as Kenyans we need to agree and accept are campaign periods. It's unfortunate that even after the campaign period was over, in Kibra, we saw people going out and continuing with the campaigning process. This is something that has to stop. An electorate has to be allowed time after listening to all sides to reflect and make a decision. So that's number one. Number two,